From the heart of America, where hard work, freedom, and faith still define who we are. From the farms to the factories, from small towns to city streets, this is the fight for the soul of our nation.
We're watching Democrats attack democracy. Do not be fooled.
The strength, the grit, the greatness of the American spirit, all right here.
The left wanted power, not peace, but there's a resistance rising. A generation saying enough, enough. We've tried it their way, and it failed.
The Steve Gruber Show with your host, Steve Gruber, starts right now.
All right, welcome to it as we dig into a brand new day post State of the Union address. What a night it was. I was there late. I have not been gone very long, and I'm back at it because it was such an important speech. Longest State of the Union ever. In fact, all three big things this hour are State of the Union. Give me three whip cracks, Brock. Go ahead. Roll them out. Attaboy. You see how that works? We're going to just break format just a little bit today because, well, it was a short night, long evening, good evening, an optimistic evening, right? An evening where Donald Trump laid out a plan for the future, talked about success, but laid out a plan for the future. We're going to get into it, all of it today. In case you weren't up, I was. So there, we've got that going for us. All right, so this is really the way he set the tone early. He said that Americans are tired of winning, and then he brought out the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team. A remarkable moment, and it just set a positive, optimistic feeling for the entire night. Listen to this.
People are asking me, please, 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 Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning in our country. Until you came along, we're just always losing, but now we're winning too much. And I say, no, 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 you're going to win again. You're going to win big. You're going to win bigger than ever. And to prove that point, here with us tonight is a group of winners who just made the entire nation proud. The men's gold medal Olympic hockey team. Come on in.
What a remarkable moment it truly was. Connor Hellebuyck, the goalie, 41 saves, and now the recipient of the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Pretty remarkable, honestly, that the president stand there and he said, I took a vote with the team, and he said, if anybody said no, I wasn't going to give him the medal, but he got the Presidential Medal of Freedom, and Brock and I were talking about this. We'll talk about this more. Other athletes have gotten it, but usually after long careers. But what a game, what an inspiration, what an up feeling for the United States, right? But there was one strange thing, and I'll get to this later. When they were chanting USA, USA, Michigan's Rashida Tlaib, Democrat from Southeast Michigan, she wasn't chanting USA, USA, USA. She was chanting KKK, KKK, KKK. And that was the disconnect between Republicans and Democrats all night. In fact, if you want to see that clip, you can go to my social media accounts, Instagram, Facebook, or X. It's on there. You can see it for yourself. It's disappointing. Not surprising, but disappointing. Donald Trump also took time to honor his friend, the late Charlie Kirk, and he condemned political violence in all its forms. Another good thing to say. Here it is.
There has been a tremendous renewal in religion, faith, Christianity, and belief in God. Tremendous renewal. This is especially true among young people, and a big part of that had to do with my great friend, Charlie Kirk, a great guy, great man. In Charlie's memory, we must all come together to reaffirm that America is one nation under God, and we must totally reject political violence of any kind.
Yeah, Erica Kirk, his widow, recognized there. In fact, Donald Trump did that throughout the evening. He brought in key people at different points in the speech. The rescue swimmer from the Coast Guard who rescued more than 140 people during those terrible floods in Texas. It was an optimistic speech, but I think this, what he says here, and to me, and you could just feel this. I was in Statuary Hall, which is just off from where the speech was given. And it's where the entire Senate walks through, the Supreme Court walks through. They all walked right next to me on their way into the speech. It was a very interesting place to be. It was a privilege, and I really enjoyed being there. But this is the kind of optimism that Donald Trump is trying to instill in this nation. He's looking toward the future. He talked about his successes, and we'll get through a lot of that throughout the day today. But this is one of the more telling comments. I think this really helps sum up the mood of the entire speech. Listen.
From 1776 to today, every generation of Americans has stepped forward to defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they're really doing it for the next generation. But now it's our turn. Together we're building a nation where every child has the chance to reach higher and go further, where government answers to the people, not the powerful, and where the interests of hardworking American citizens are always our first and ultimate concern. That is the debt we owe to the heroes who came before us, and that is the promise we must keep to America for our 250th year.
So true, a chance for everybody to have a stake in it. And something else, and I spoke to Congressman Tim Burchett about this. I spoke to many members of Congress. I spoke to Byron Donalds and Tim Burchett and Mark Harris and a whole host of folks, and we'll get through as much of that as we can as well. Spoke to Senator Dan Sullivan of Alaska, because they're all there, and they all want to talk, and after that speech, they're all pumped up. But one thing that Tim Burchett has been focused on, I talked to him about this last night, and we'll get to that interview, I hope, before this program is over, and that is members of Congress enriching themselves, becoming wildly wealthy, going into Congress with a salary of $174,000 and leaving with 20 or 25 or $30 million in 4 or 5 years. The corruption in Congress has to stop. Here's what he said.
As we ensure that all Americans can profit from a rising stock market, let's also ensure that members of Congress cannot corruptly profit from using insider information. They stood up for that. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Did Nancy Pelosi stand up if she was here? Doubt it. Pass the Stop Insider Trading Act without delay.
Did Nancy Pelosi stand up? I doubt it. Yeah, I'm not sure she could. She's only worth $130 or $140 million. Her stock portfolio has gone up something like 10,000%. Don't you wish you were Nancy? Yeah, me either. More about this when we come back from Washington, D.C. All right, let's jump right back into it. Look, I mentioned this a moment ago when the USA hockey team came in. And the whole place is chanting USA, USA. This is a preview of how the Democrats conducted themselves during the program. Those that showed up, of course, there was a protest outside. It literally had about 100 people show up to join the Democrats. Very telling. But Rashida Tlaib of Michigan, instead of chanting USA, USA, was chanting KKK, KKK. Obviously, you can't hear her, but you can read her lips. Here it is. You know, I asked Tim Burchett about that exact thing. He said he wasn't surprised. He said, but after all, the Democrats did create the Ku Klux Klan, so why wouldn't they celebrate it? Good point, Congressman. Good point. Here's some final remarks on America's golden age. Back to the optimism. Enough of that for a moment. Let's stay with the optimism, where we're going as a country. The tone that was set last night by the president. Longest State of the Union address, I believe, ever. Longer than Bill Clinton. Yeah, he talked. The golden age. Here it is.
Because when the world needs courage, daring, vision, and inspiration, it is still turning to America. And when God needs a nation to work his miracles, he knows exactly who to ask. There is no challenge Americans cannot overcome, no frontier too vast for us to conquer, no dream too bold for us to chase, no horizon too distant for us to claim. For our destiny is written by the hand of providence, and these first 250 years were just the beginning. The golden age of America is upon us. The revolution that began in 1776 has not ended. It still continues because the flame of liberty and independence still burns in the heart of every American patriot. And our future will be bigger, better, brighter, bolder, and more glorious than ever before.
I don't know how you don't listen to that and be inspired. Bigger, brighter, bolder than ever before. Remarkable, honestly. He did tout his accomplishments, did the president? Of course he did. He had to lay the groundwork for American history like he did there, about who we are as a nation, where we go forward as a nation, and how we get there. And for all the people, we'll talk about the border here for a moment. Big accomplishment for this president. Nobody's gotten away in 9 months. Nobody released into this country in 9 months. For all the people slamming Trump as a xenophobe, he's not ashamed that our border is secure. But he unequivocally accepts any immigrant who comes here legally, as we should. Here's what he said.
After 4 years in which millions and millions of illegal aliens poured across our borders, totally unvetted and unchecked, we now have the strongest and most secure border in American history by far. In the past 9 months, 0 illegal aliens have been admitted to the United States. But we will always allow people to come in legally, people that will love our country and will work hard to maintain our country.
So true. So true. Those that come here and want to be part of this thing we call America, coming here legally, going through the process properly. It's important. Let me give you one of the examples of him calling out ordinary people in the crowd and pointing out and saying, look, these are real Americans. Trump reminded the public why we are deporting illegal aliens. He shared Elizabeth Medina's story, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader from Texas who was brutally killed by an illegal immigrant. Listen to this story.
Actually. In 2023, a 16-year-old high school cheerleader named Elizabeth Medina was supposed to perform in her town's Christmas parade, but she never arrived. Her mother, Jacqueline, went home to look for her, and she found her lying dead in a bathtub, bleeding profusely after being stabbed 25 times. Elizabeth's killer was a previously arrested illegal alien who had broken in and brutally extinguished the brightest light in her family's life, violently and viciously. Her heartbroken mother is in the gallery to remind everyone in this chamber exactly why we are deporting illegal alien criminals to our country at record numbers, and we're getting them the hell out of here fast. We don't want them.
He also talked about Delilah's Law, banning illegal aliens from having commercial driver's licenses after so many Americans have been killed by those who can't even read the road signs. Here it is.
Many, if not most, illegal aliens do not speak English and cannot read even the most basic road signs as to direction, speed, danger, or location. That's why tonight I'm calling on Congress to pass what we will call the Delilah Law, barring any state from granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal aliens.
And there you have it. Several examples of a speech that was serious, sometimes funny, patriotic, but most of all optimistic. Optimistic. It's the speech America needed. Some called it Trump's best speech ever. I'll let you be the judge of that, but I was certainly glad to be there. We'll take a break and be right back. It is the Steve Gruber Show.